Hello and welcome. We are live. We're live on YouTube. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Facebook. I'm here with Pascal Fintoni. How are you, Pascal?
I'm very well. This is session 4, and I already am feeling a little sad that our series is reaching its conclusion next week.
Yeah, it's quite crazy, isn't it? We've put so much into this, and isn't it? Time just flies, doesn't it? It's a bit mad. You're right, absolutely mad. So, without further ado, let us tell you about what we've put together. This is our website best practice series, and welcome to you all. Welcome to people that are watching live. Welcome to people that are listening. Perhaps you're on replay. And perhaps you've seen an article where we've put together all the elements of our 90-day program. You'll find more on the 90-day marketing mastery.com. And in fact, just to give you a really quick rundown of some of the things that we're doing, this is an online, but with us, very personalized, lots of one-to-one time with myself and Pascal. It's going to be an intensive 90-day program that it has weekly 2-hour strategy masterclasses, half-day monthly mastermind events, even a monthly personal one-to-one with myself or Pascal, lots of exclusive content from podcasts to resources to templates, lots of support even on WhatsApp, and live Q&As and a private Facebook group. So we've put decades of experience into this, haven't we, Pascal?
We have, and thank you very much for summarizing and atomizing all of that. So what we want to do is essentially be part of the answers to two key questions. Do you want to feel proud of your website again? And do you want your website to work harder for you and your business? And having been involved with website development and design since the late 90s and yourself as well, we've spent the better part of last year capturing all that knowledge, refreshing some of the templates and resources, and we just can't wait to be sharing that with you.
So we expanded on this to produce a webinar series to sort of give you a taste and a flavor and a teaser on some of the content that's going to be in there. And we've already covered in session 1, which was the website health check. Session 2 was all around building trust on your website. Session 3 was attracting the right website visitors. Today is session 4, converting visitors into inquiries. And next week we'll be having being proud of your website. So focusing on today, we've got how to bring new life to your blog and social media content, and using video to make your homepage and landing pages work harder for you. So as I said, it's converting visitors into inquiries. At this point, I'll hand over to the one and only Pascal Fintoni. I'll let you bring your slides up onto the screen as well, and we'll hear from Pascal.
Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do before I invite you back, Johnny, to talk about your spotlight, which is this idea of bringing new life to your blogging and social media content activities, I want to talk about the mindset, because I think this is really important. We make no approaches to be reinforcing key messages. To begin with, in 2023, moving on towards 2025, we're no longer in the business of completing tasks. We are the architects and designers of an online experience. And with that comes some kind of realities. This idea of building trust online, yes, we want to be using the tools of the time for greater convenience for ourselves and our audience, but not at the expense of a truly meaningful and real connection. So that's something that we've explored particularly in session 1 and 2, Johnny. I want to remind people that when we talk about trust, there's two factors really. Is the I suppose the appeal and performance of your website, the technical side, and there's of course the emotional reaction before there's even the rational reaction from your visitors. And we explore both sides of that coin every time we get together. I want to remind people that we have given you, as a way to stimulate really your planning and thinking beyond the essentials, a new purpose for your website, to record and share the many conversations, many consideration and connection. This idea of making your day-to-day a key feature of your website. I want to also therefore confirm that when we talk about the experience, we want to use our website to showcase qualities that are valued by our customers. We talked about common sense, we talked about communication skills, Johnny, and of course, customer service. Last week, we talked about before, during, and after as the customer journey. And we looked at this kind of redefinition or realignment of our thinking when it comes to the customer journey, and looked at three key areas: visibility, credibility, and interactivity. With visibility, we kind of coined the phrase the before sales scare. And today, I want to explore with you the during sales scare. What does it feel like to be on your website? How do I go from doubt to trust? And more importantly, where will the content come from? When I look at the work that we do, Johnny, and when I look at what's in front of us, the funnel, and when I talked about those qualities, there is one talent, there is one kind of I'm going to as far as saying it's a skill that you have to nurture, and that is imagination. When I compare those who do okay, those who do much better, those who do very well, they have found a way to have a system that is there to stimulate the imagination. The running of the website is a source of positive energy. They feel re-energized as opposed to drained. This is not a chore to them. I think one of the reasons they've been able to do is that they put in place ways to think about the website and content that is truly there to stimulate imagination. And the number one thing that we have to do, which we explored together, is the use of language. Our industry, Johnny, and the work that we do is plagued by acronyms and kind of very short form labels and naming that have become meaningless. If you say blog, four-letter word, anyway, what do you mean? It's too vague. It's a bit like if I was saying to you, oh, tonight I'm going to eat some food. That's just too vague. That's too generic. I'm going to watch TV tonight. You're going to want me to be more specific about what I mean by that. And this is what we do. We try and encourage you to move away from generic terms, which have been essentially shared usually by people that don't know as much as they say they do, but also sometimes in an attempt to keep things simple. But we've gone too far. We've got to reclaim the language. We need to be more specific. When you are specific, you do two things. You create a sense of intrigue for your audience, and for you create anticipation in terms of looking forward to doing something very unique and special. And in this case, we don't have a website. We don't just do blogging or content. We've become the editor of a content series about a number of things we're going to explore together. And what imagination allows you to do as a technique, as a skill set, as a talent that has to be nurtured, it allows you to essentially turn your everyday conversations into memorable content series. So all of you listening today and on replay, the last conversation you had with a customer, the last conversation you had with a colleague, maybe with a mentor, anyone out there where you were engaged in conversation and there was an exchange of valuable information, if you've kept it to yourself, you're stuck in 1993, 2003. In 2023, we capture those conversations and we feature them on our website. So to show you ways in which you can stimulate your imagination, I'm going to invite Johnny back to tell you more about this idea of new life to your blog and social media.
Yeah, thanks, Pascal. And it is all about imagination. I mean, if you can open that door inside your mind and create all of that different imagination, I think as they say, the world is endless in terms of the content, but also the engagement. And this is about the mindset and the technique to stimulate ideas. It's to bring new life to your blog and your social media channels. So what we're looking at is simplifying it by breaking it down, and we're breaking it down into two categories. We're breaking it down into 4 content types. And once you understand that, the vision becomes quite clear and easy to understand, really. And we're suggesting a monthly schedule. So we're going to give you an example of how one could look. But obviously, any template you want to try is more than fine. And we've got, as we do the 90-day course, we're going to have tons of templates that we can share with you. But as I said, this is about simplifying it and breaking it down, the 2 categories, 4 content types, and the monthly schedule. So if we look at the first category, we're looking at promotional content. Promotional content is designed to convert interest. And by the time someone typically looks at promotional content, by the time they start digesting it, they probably already know a bit about you. They've probably done some due diligence and sort of get a good idea of who you are and what you're about. And there's 4 types of promotional content. So if we have a look at each type, we've got the products and services, and that's all the things that you offer and that you do. We've got the just gone there wrong there. The testimonials and the evidence, and for each category, it probably requires you to look at what other sectors are doing. It requires you to use your imagination. And we've got the meet the team and the calls to actions. And these are all designed to convert that interest into talking to you, buying from you, engaging with you. That's what all of these things are designed to do. They're designed to convert. And then the second category is around social content. So here we've got industry news, expert Q&As, free resources, and company updates. And these are designed to encourage encourage intrigue and for someone to become inquisitive about you. So there's 4 types. As I said, there's the industry news, expert Q&As. This could be part of an expert Q&A video or podcast series that you've done, free resources like downloads or how-to guides, and company updates. And the reason why over decades we've categorized them in that way is so that you can be in a position to capture all of the wonderful ideas into a really simple matrix. And by having this, it becomes a lot easier to plan, to be accountable, but also to be aligned to your strategy and to really make sure that you're engaging with the correct audience that you're trying to engage with, etc., etc. So by extension, you can become this could become your promotion and your production plan. It's covering the promotional content and the social content. We're suggesting a 3-month calendar. This can either be done on an Excel sheet or a whiteboard. And this is about simplifying by breaking it down to clarify and avoid vagueness. Those are the key things. So you've got sort of the month 1, month 2, month 3, and then broken down into the promotional content, the social content. And I've already broken those down into the subcategories. So once you've got that, you're in a position to amplify. And it's about building up. It's about amplifying by building up. And to show you what you can do straight away, this is something that you can action immediately, and it's all about getting the right mindset. So it's the start with what you have, and it's about go back and repurpose it up. Now, we're all familiar about repurposing content. Typically that's around teasers. It's around sort of taking a piece and sort of doing lots of stuff with it. But actually what we're talking about here is going back to what could be classed as old content, but bringing it back to life. And as I said, this is about finding a different way to increase the length and the impact of your content. It's about repurposing it up. So let me give you a short summary. So there's 4 different types of what you already have. So we've got the sort of the current, which is about recent and past social media posts. What have you posted on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram? What are the things that you've got that are recent that you've posted? We've got the best performing blog posts on your website. Now, whenever we say the word blog, by the way, it could be a podcast, it could be a video, it could be an infographic, it's a piece of content, it could be a how-to guide, who knows? But it's just a piece of content. On top of that, you've got the products and services across your website. You've got the meet the team section, and perhaps you've been to an event recently or a training session. You've been inspired by something. Maybe you've listened to something or read something. So you've got the current, what's happened perhaps in the last month. And so how do you go back and how do you turn that into the future? So for example, we could take the recent social media posts and you could convert them into a monthly roundup. Don't forget that when you post something on social, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, these things disappear. They disappear very, very quickly. Unfortunately, there's so much noise on social media. And what we're talking about is taking some of the best bits and putting it all into one and a roundup of what's gone on during that month. So don't worry, it's about keeping it alive. So we realized that a month later, as part of our approach to customer engagement, you could put together an article full of the best pieces of content from your Twitter post, from your LinkedIn post, from your Instagram post. You can bring it into one article. You could embed them. You could show them as screenshots. But what a great way to start each month and to look back at the month that was on social media. There's there's an example here I'll show you for number 2, which is the best performing blog post on your website, and that's about editing up with new media elements. And here there's an example from Amy Wood from Content 10x, and what she's done is she's revisited her content to come up with sort of a pillar piece of content. And one of the things that you could do is you could go back to your content and you could revisit just even the picture at the top. So could you humanize it? Could you use a picture of yourself? Could you use a picture of one of your guests to really change how it looks and to bring it back to life by literally just adding some personality into that blog post? And why not read your article and create a video or a podcast to embed back onto your post, perhaps a teaser trailer to tell me as the audience what the article or the guide is about. And maybe you can use it to tease again on social media, or to give sort of a quick synopsis of what the article is. And you could go back and you could break down the content. You could break it down using subheadings, but why not turn those subheadings into visual images as well? So there's lots of repurposing there you could do. You could then take that, you could then use it on social media as a sort of snippet of part of the post to then use as a hook to get people back onto that piece of content. There's lots of examples where you can go back and embed content, and perhaps you've seen something somewhere else. You could bring that back. So maybe you've been listening to something, you've seen something on social media. You could take that and embed it back onto your article. So this is a repurposing up, and it's about taking the content and expanding on it. So if we look at the products and services, and Meet the Team as a good example of this, perhaps you've got Meet the Team article, a bio section on your website, and it's about taking someone's as a member of staff and really doing some long form content about them, bringing some personality into it, going a bit deeper than just your Meet the Team page. It's a sort of spotlight, a day in the life of, and a get to know. People buy from people. And one of the great ways to get people to like you is by showing personality. And so long form Meet the Team style content can really help you spotlight people. Maybe you've attended and been inspired at a recent event or a training session or a recent, maybe you've listened to a recent podcast. You could take that and you could share the highlights and interview some of the speakers to produce some of the content to get across what's happened and tell us more about an event that you've been to, or a podcast you've listened to, or a video you've watched, and you could share the highlights of the content and speakers. And I think this one was an event that we co-hosted, Pascal.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely right.
So this was a summary, a synopsis of the event, and what a great example. So you've got a way to repurpose it, and it's one of the ways you can really stimulate your imagination. And over the course of the 90-day program, we're going to share lots and lots more of this style of content and ways to produce content, should I say. I'm going to hand it back to Pascal, who's going to talk about videos to make your website work harder.
Thank you very much, and yeah, well done, because this was a lot of information to get through. But I love the way you've explained. You break it down first to simplify its meaning and to actually build up from there. And I'm going to follow the same kind of structure, if you don't mind, with regard to videos to make your website work harder. I think for me, video content, as is well known out there in the industry, is one of my favorite format for a number of reasons. For me, video will make what you do already have more impact. It invites you to remember to be in conversation mode, but also for the audience, it's the impression, rightly so, that you've taken the trouble to plan, to script, to storyboard, to record, to edit, and so on. So there's an element of complexity that means that you're going to create more authority and more respect from the industry. So in terms of what we've done, I'm going to simplify it again, Johnny, and by breaking it down. And what I want to explain is that there are three categories of video content that works to support a business that will then zero into one particular category and give you the three kind of video types or the three content types for that video. And throughout, I'm gonna show you some examples, and you'll see halfway through there is a special message from a special guest, as you'll see. So we began our work of going through the customer journey with visibility by saying being curious is good for business. And when we think about breaking down the different types of video and create three categories, that's how it begins. So your very first journey into the world of video content to serve your business would be into video curation, finding out on behalf of your audience what's already out there, making a difference, and sharing it on with your words of comments and wisdom. So it begins with video curation. That's your first video type. Then you move on to video contribution, where you are a guest on someone else's kind of video effort. That's your second category. And the third category is video creation. So we start with curation and we discover and learn an enormous amount. We then move on to being a guest, I think would be the right way to describe it. And you learn an enormous amount in the process by being a good guest. And then it's your turn to become a video creator. And that's the journey. And these are the three categories. For obvious reasons, I'm going to concentrate on video creation. I'm going to be looking in particular at what belongs under that. And the three types of content will be called video messaging, video meeting, and video marketing. We're going to look at video marketing, but very, very quickly. Video messaging, typically on social media, those short, sharp videos that can allow you to build your brand. Time is against me to expand on that, but it is part, of course, as you mentioned, of the program. Video meeting is when you reverse the roles from video contribution. You're the host and you are recording a one-to-one or one-to-few to support your business activities. Video marketing is when you pretty much on your own, this is your branded content that's going to make your website work harder. So we're going to move on to that. Oh, here's our special guest and our special message. So people who are perhaps listening to the audio-only version, we have a photo of a very young or much younger Steven Spielberg planning and working on Raiders of the Lost Ark. And there's a message. I imagine that's why Steven would say to me, Pascal, don't forget to tell them about the different types of video. So when we use the word video, Johnny, we need to go back to being specific. And video content can be kind of produced and executed in so many different ways. I'm going to take you back to the days when you were much younger and you were at school. Have you ever played the game of creating little stick figures on the corner of a book, and the stick figures were moving frame by frame, and when you finished you had to flip the corner of the notebook and you had motion picture? Have you ever played that game before when you were much younger, Johnny?
Oh, I love that game, and you can have some real fun with it too. Yes, absolutely. I love flick books. Love flick books.
So a video is, for all intents and purposes, a series of images that move along at such speed that it gives the impression of motion. So to begin with, all of you, when you hear the word video, there's so many things you could do. These could be still photography. They've been animated, text and music using some apps that are readily available. Maybe there's some video footage with music and text. Maybe it's video footage with narration and text. And maybe then it's you talking to camera. But the whole range is such that when you hear the word video, I don't want you to imagine that what Johnny and I are talking about is the talking head video, you addressing the camera. You've got all the other options to kind of seek to use, from the early days of cinema, which was essentially people looking through lenses at moving photography to see a horse jumping over hurdles, all the way to where we are now with 3D and IMAX. But it's a number of still images moving along, and you might find, Johnny, that your mobile phone and your computers are full of images that are just crying out to be turned into motion picture. Right, that's the message from our special guest. Moving on to how we're going to amplify now that we've been to build up. I want to talk to you about the 3 essential videos for your website, and we're going to go through some examples. And this is where I'm going to need your help, Johnny, to play some of those videos as I kind of introduce them. So our very first video would be what I call the welcome video, and this is one that will be on the website homepage most likely. And there's a couple of things that it's there to do. It's there to confirm that the audience has reached the right destination, the website. It's there to summarize some of the key messages so they stay long enough to be intrigued and then consume the rest of the content. Word of warning, very often I find that the welcome video is incomplete, very much like the visual I've chosen today, where letters are missing from the word welcome. People sometimes forget to mention very important things. Sometimes they're too focused on wanting to get the sales message through. We need to make sure that this welcome video follows actually the comprehensive story structure of who do you help, why do you help them, and how do you help them. And I've got an example for you of a typical welcome video. It comes from a platform and an app called What 3 Words, would be quite well known in the UK and beyond because of their big TV advertising push. And if I could ask you, Johnny, to play the video, and then I'll explain to everyone why it's a great example.
Have you ever struggled to find a friend? Had a taxi take you to the wrong entrance? A package delivered to the wrong address? Or couldn't explain where you were? We developed What 3 Words because addressing around the world should be better, and talking about a location can be really hard. Addresses aren't unique. They're easy to confuse, don't point to specific entrances, and for a lot of places, they don't exist at all. People struggle to find each other, and businesses fail to reach customers. It's frustrating, costs the economy billions, and affects lives. What 3 Words is a solution. It has divided the world into 3-meter squares and given each one a unique 3-word address. It's as simple as saying, lanes larger daring, to find that specific location on Earth. Around the world, people are using 3-word addresses for everything, from telling their car where to go and finding that tucked-away cottage, to getting deliveries and directing emergency services to the right place. What 3 Words is helping to make the world a less frustrating, more efficient, and safer place. 3 words at a time.
Okay, thank you very much, Johnny. So what you have here is a good, strong example of a welcome video. We begin by asking questions. Is it essentially you as we go through the questions? Are you going through the same kind of challenges as we go through narrating and sharing anecdotes? And then once we've kind of positioned that, we share more about the product and services, and we summarize everything at the end. And also, many of you would have noticed the bit of audio branding at the end, the 3 stamps, that comes in as well. So my recommendation, Johnny, for everyone is to seek out these videos on YouTube on the official What 3 Words channel. Study, literally write down what you can hear, because there you have the script. Literally, you could change it to your kind of specialism, product and services and audios, and you can then build a storyboard and a video. But this is what you would want to have on the homepage for your welcome video. I need to move on to the second video, and this one is called the personal Q&A video. A bit of a longish title, but you'll see in a moment when we see the example why that is the case. So this is really something that I guess will be part of your blog, or maybe part of your landing pages to offer a very kind of personal and sociable highlight. If there was a word of warning about the welcome video, which is sometimes it's incomplete, we don't cover everything, and What 3 Words did a very, very good job. I think with the personal Q&A video, people overcomplicate the product, they overcomplicate the video, and they end up with something that actually becomes more of a chore and is not as pleasant as it could be. So we're going to show you an example, and this example is a kind of oldish one, but on purpose, because nothing much has changed since then. And it's from Matt Cutts, who is answering a question he's received from someone from the UK, actually.
One of my favorite people from Google, and a shame that he's still not answering questions from us for Google. But here we go.
Comes from Colchester in the United Kingdom. I hope I'm saying that right. The question is from Blue Bumblebee, who asks, "Hi Matt, does the Big G have a version of the search engine that totally excludes any backlink relevance? I'm wondering what search would look like, and I'm curious to try it out." So we don't have a version like that that is exposed to the public, but we have run experiments like that internally, and the quality looks much, much worse. It turns out backlinks, even though there's some noise and certainly a lot of spam, for the most part are still a really, really big win in terms of quality for search results. So we've played around with the idea of turning off backlink relevance, and at least for now, backlink relevance still really helps in terms of making sure that we return the best, most relevant, most topical set of search results.
Thank you very much, Johnny. You're right. Such a pleasure to hear his voice again. So this is a very, very strong example again. Very simple. This is a one-shot video using an iPhone. At the time, people could still do that nowadays, or use software that they have on their computer. But here's the thing. Matt is answering a real question from a real person. And this is what's going to make the difference. This is why I called it the personal Q&A video, because people are now publishing a video about a question no one's asked, or it feels too much like, Johnny, someone's done some keyword research, came up with a number of videos, and then are publishing it, and you don't get to the point where you're really attempting to create meaningful connections. So it's a real question from a real person. He was actually featured on screen as well, which I think is a very, very nice touch. We answer the question simply, comprehensively, and then we wrap it up with a call to action to move on to accessing more resource where there could be more of the same. And I think all this was done in the space of 45 seconds. And I think to have a series of those on your website makes you in a position where you are seen and heard being helpful to people like me. And that's why they are so powerful. But you've got to keep it simple from a production point of view. All right, moving on to the final third video, the farewell video. Well, we welcome people, Johnny, so we have to say goodbye and make sure we leave as friends. And the way to do that is to kind of understand about what it feels like to be a visitor on a website, to maybe an unknown business or brand. And there could still be some nervousness about maybe completing the shopping cart details. Maybe there's some qualms about, booking the meeting. Maybe I'm not sure. So what we want to do is make people sure and turn any lasting remaining doubts into trust. Now, for this one, I wanted to show people a template as opposed to an example, because that'd be much, much easier, because you've got to see this farewell video in situ with regard to the landing page. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see a template taken from a business called Flight School. They're in the business of, like us, you and I, explaining things. And they've pretty much said, this is what you want your future landing page, the contact us page, the book now page, the inquiry page to look like, whereby not only do you have the typical forms people have had and all the things, you also have testimonials from customers about how good you are at replying, if that's what the call to action is. But you've got your farewell video where you let people know what will happen once I fill in the form, what will happen once I pay you, and all those remaining doubts have got to be dealt with a video. And as I mentioned, via our good friend Steven Spielberg, it could be a series of stills moving to music and text. It could be moving images. It could be a talking head. The whole range available to you, but you got to start. So you've got to end the website journey the way you began. If you welcome people, you've got to say goodbye properly. Wow. Once again, we've been looking at building trust through websites and visitors. We talked about customer service last week, and we talked about before sales scare. My view today, Johnny, just to wrap it up, is that we've explored, you and I, using imagination to come up with a better experience when it comes to the during sales scare, your credibility. As always, we've left you with a lot to think about. Thank you for your attention, everyone. Any final words from you, Johnny?
Well, it does. It goes back to imagination, doesn't it? And but you've given such practical tips as well. And some of these things are just really simple things that we just need to be conscious of, be thoughtful of, be mindful of, and put them into practice. And that's the key thing, really. And our 90-day program is absolutely going to help you do that. So much to think about. Let's talk about our next session, which will be being proud of your website. That's next week, where me and Pascal will dip into how you are going to be proud of your website, which is what our first question started with right months and months ago when we started putting this together. Was someone asks you for your website address, and the first thing you think is, oh dear, I don't want to give you it. It doesn't really represent us very well. I'm not proud of it. We want to turn that into you being proud of your website. If you want to check out the course, you can just scan this QR code. It'll take you straight to our website, and I will give you the link in a moment. I'll just give you a second to scan that if you'd like to. It's the 90-day marketingmastery.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to share some of our tips and tricks and give you a real taste and teaser of what our program's all about. As I said, it's the 90-day marketingmastery.com. We've talked a lot about video today, Pascal. I think we should end with our video. Our final video to finish our webinar series of today. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.